Before I read the proclamation, I do want to, number one, thank our guests for offering their thoughts and song today. I want to thank everyone for being in the crowd and online for watching us. I want to thank my colleagues for their comments. And I was going to avoid giving a speech here because I know you all have been patient. But I do, since we're friends, I did want to kind of share a little bit of a journey I've been on as we've been preparing for today's presentation. Those who know me know that I am historically minded, and that very much motivates who I am and why I do what I do. And as I have been thinking about today's proclamation, one of the questions that has been rolling around my head was, were my great grandmother's parents slaves? Those of you who know me or have been watching council proceedings for a couple of years have probably heard me talk about my great grandmother. She lived to a ripe old age, well more than 100 years old, so I got to know her a little bit as a young man. I've talked about her in this room, Big Mama. And when you hear me talk about Big Mama, I usually tell a story about how I would go and visit her in Texas. And some of my most vivid memories about Big Mama was that she had guns everywhere. She had guns, I'm not joking. She had guns in her cookie jar. She had guns under the bed. She had guns in the closet. And the reason why she had guns, because she lived at a time and in a place where the Klan might show up and would show up. And I kind of remember, and frankly, I do remember her kind of talking about people in her life who were slaves, which is kind of a remarkable human chain to think that I know someone, in fact, someone who's dear and close to me, someone who made me possible, and I had conversations with, and went fishing with, and cooked with, and she had a lived experience of slavery. And so the question I kind of have been wondering and trying to remember, if I remember correctly, is were her parents slaves? And so that resulted in a MAPS family sort of text chain as we're kind of hunting down that question. And the answer to the question of whether or not her parents were slaves basically boils down to, when do you think emancipation came to Texas? Which actually is a complex historical story, and we won't get it. Well, Texas is also quite interesting. And actually, I'm glad you brought up Oregon, because that's the other, when I think about that story, another sort of personal history story I think about is my grandfather. I think some of you have heard me talk about my grandfather in this room too. During World War II, my grandfather was in the Army, and on occasion he would come up to Portland on R&R. And in Portland, during that time, even when you were in a military uniform, he could not get served at restaurants, except for Chinese restaurants. And then you flash forward a generation or two, and you get to me, who has the unique distinction of being the fourth African American to serve on this council. I'll let all of you ponder the moral meaning of that trajectory. I think it does support the words of Martin Luther King, who said that, I'm going to paraphrase here, but the arc of history is long, but it bends towards justice. That's been my experience too. I'm aware that we are all here for just a very short time, and the reasons why we are here has a lot to do with the people who got us here, and also the people who will come after us. And so that is some of the things I'm thinking about this afternoon as we come to celebrate this important event.